you pay school fees, not for your own children, but say for your younger siblings? Do you buy groceries for your own household and say for your parents? Does a big chunk of your income support someone else? Are you burdened by the so-called black tax? Some say it is a privilege to be able to give back to those you love, yet others resent having to share their salary with every member of the family until they feel they've got nothing left. Let's get started. Good evening and welcome to the Democracy Gauge. I'm Bongani Bingwa. In 6 weeks' time, you and I will go to the polls to cast our vote for who we think should be in our government. And most of the state's income to govern will also come from us in the form of income tax contributions. But what about the unspoken expenditure called the black tax? For many black people, the so-called black tax is a legacy of the apartheid system, a system which deprived the majority of us the opportunity to build generational wealth. When 1994 arrived, it didn't come with the inheritance of wealth. Instead, a larger burden was placed on you if you were, for example, the first to qualify tertiary education in your family, or even earn a salary that was perhaps a little bit more than that earned by a domestic worker or a gardener. Black South Africans embraced the democratic dispensation without large bank balances. It was time to work harder to ensure that your family's needs were now going to be met. Remember, it takes a village, so your family is at that same time building that village during times of need. Here's a scenario. You've just entered into the job market. You have to start paying off your student loans, your rent, fuel, your vehicle, not forgetting, of course, monthly installments for that vehicle. Add to that groceries for your family who sacrificed so much so you could now complete an education and make it to university in the first place. So that's the context then for our poll question. We're asking, is black tax an unfair burden? You can choose from our standard 3 colors. Green is for yes, yellow maybe, and of course if your answer is red, that's of course going to mean no. Right, so let's have a look at what people have been saying about this issue, the black tax, as compiled by our reporter Iviwe Poti in Port Elizabeth.
Black tax. It is very difficult. We feel like we are still oppressed. That's what I can put it in, because a black person, a black child, have to work 3 times more to succeed in this country, and the government is not doing anything about it, is not helping us.
To be honest with you, it seems that this is like a black case. And I know in many cases you find what they call generational wealth, but with us black people, it makes us to not to move forward.
From an economics perspective, according to Dr. Noluntu Dubele, an economics department HOD at the Nelson Mandela University, black tax shouldn't be viewed as a bad thing, and it should certainly do away with the negative connotations and perceptions some have.
Black tax is not necessarily a tax that you pay, but I think it is recorded as the work, that the activities that people have to do in compensation of their families or their extended families.
There's the normal tax every South African citizen has to pay, and then there's black tax. This is the added responsibility of sharing your salary with family members until you have nothing left to save or invest.
I'm providing for my mother, my 3 siblings. I'm providing for my 2 kids. I am a single parent. They're all going to school, so this money, really, it's very difficult. You have to work 3 times more.
It's not about a set budget, but the contributions are monthly. But in between those monthly contributions, you get some of other things of which you didn't plan for. From a young person's budget, close to 25% to 35%, that's a contribution to black tax, of which it differs from various people, because in between the year there are different functions and then there are different occasions. So that black tax also contributes within those occasions.
The perception of many is that black tax is a negative thing. It's a burden and it stagnates growth.
There shouldn't be a negative connotation. We grew up knowing that we have to give back. Not necessarily that you are being taxed for giving back. It is what you have to do, but the problem is how you actually do it and how you actually interpret it, because some people force it, some people enforce it, but in some families it's just something that you have to do, so it necessarily doesn't become black tax as it is.
The job market isn't much of assistance as well, as some struggle to get jobs. About 6 million people in South Africa are unemployed. To provide for their families, some try to generate their own income by selling off the street. It's not easy and they call for more assistance.
Even when it's raining, you see where we are working right now, they don't provide anything for us, but they see that we are trying as the small businesses. But nobody comes forward and say, okay, we can see that you are doing something as a South African citizen. Let's just help you with this and this.
Although black tax has been associated with the ideology of Ubuntu and the cultural belief of Umtu ngumtu ngabantu, some have been forced and as a result are at the back foot of their counterparts.
What I don't approve is really where our families force young graduates who have a life, who also have to grow, and when they don't give them the space, they need the space. We need to guide them in the right direction. We need to teach them about volunteering, about giving back to our communities and our families.
Whether or not the next generation will be affected by black tax is debatable. Ivwe Poti, SABC News, Port Elizabeth.
Well, that's the word on the street. What do you think? Listen, black tax comes in different shapes and forms, and it depends on particular individuals and upbringing and specific circumstances. Well, we're joined now for a studio discussion by Winnie Kunia, who is a financial advisor and money psychologist. A very warm welcome to you to the Democracy Gauge.
Thank you.
Firstly, I suppose I have to ask you, what's a money psychologist?
Oh, by the way, I'm not a financial advisor as well. A financial psychologist is somebody who actually talks common sense money and tries to create a financial experience while you are here and make it heaven on earth by living a simple lifestyle.
Okay, living within your means, right?
Living within your means, because that could be heaven on earth.
So here's where the black tax conversation complicates things,
Yes.
is that you're not only living within your own means, you're having to make your money live for your own means and the extended families. So it becomes a losing battle from the get-go. Okay. Is that a fair way to frame it?
No, I actually don't believe it's a burden, and I do not believe it's tax. You know, when we speak about the language of money, we must be very careful whether we're positive or negative. This tax thing is becoming very negative, and our young people are getting even more bitter and bitter. Do you know what money does when you are bitter? It becomes bitter back.
But the reality is, I look at my counterparts. Hang on, I may look at my counterparts as a young person.
Who's your counterparts?
People who may be from different backgrounds, who are not burdened by the responsibilities of the black tax, who maybe get their first vehicle from a parent, who maybe gets a deposit for their first flat. Maybe they get married, somebody assists.
Yes.
I'm already behind because I'm bringing all those other people.
No, you don't have that. First and foremost, we all don't come from the same background, okay? Granted. Now, you cannot, it's unfair. It would be very hurtful to compare your parents to those who are well-to-do, simply because you cannot.
I may not compare our parents, but listen, our salary is the same.
Your salary is the same, but how do you budget your salary? How do you manage your expectations or your parents' expectations? Because if there is an expectation that you are going to be expected to support the family, you need to come clean. You need to come and say to your parents, yes, Mama, I am earning X amount of money, and this is this is my budget. Because remember, if your parents are at home and you are in the cities, remember the salaries don't increase as much as the cost of living is increasing.
Are those easy conversations to have?
They're not, but they have to be done.
Because there are so many expectations on the first graduate, the first doctor, the first whatever it is in the family.
You got to have a money conference, unfortunately. I know it is never going to be an easy discussion to have.
But sometimes the money isn't there, because on top of, one's own circumstances, you still have to deal with student loans, right?
Yeah,
NSFAS is not for free if you've got student loans. You've racked up debt of all kinds, and so maybe the money isn't even there. How do you explain to people in some rural homes who've been looking to you to save the family?
You tell exactly as it is, the truth. You see, if you lie, I've met a lot of young students whom I had to counsel and help them to get out of debt. You find a young woman with great hopes and aspirations, earning 9,000 Rand, 40% of that money goes home, 30% of that money goes towards her rent. She wants a car, she wants the weave, she wants everything else, and then she puts herself into debt. Now, she does that, that's poverty for the next 10 to 15 years. We've got to learn to speak about the money, and I know it is uncomfortable, but it has to be done.
Spend the money you have and have honest conversations. Winnie, thank you very much for a very brief conversation. Absolutely fascinating. What is your view? Every day we have a poll question here on the Democracy Gate. Now you can interact with our poll on sabcnews.com, also on Facebook and on Twitter, remembering to use the hashtag SABCDG25 and SABC News. Tonight we're asking, is black tax an unfair burden? Is it a blessing or is it a curse? Green is yes, yellow is maybe, red is no. We'll share some of your views after this quick break.
We've heard it many times from female entrepreneurs that they aren't taken seriously, and Future Females is a worldwide network of women.
So we're creating a platform where these women come and they collaborate and they meet each other.
Have the Civil Aviation Authority announced when they'll be making some announcement with regard to findings?
The Chief Executive Officer of Ethiopian Airlines, he said they do not even know the magnitude of the situation.
Bring us up to speed with regard to the latest developments.
We now know there was a football official, there was a journalist, there were university professors.
Koko said his hands are clean and his detractors have ulterior motives.
South Africans have been solidary that Machela Koko had conflict of interest.
Our election website here on SABC is now live.
When you put 5 girls against 5 guys, of course it's going to be lit.
Andile, what's the next challenge?
Witness all the fun, tension and laughs as we see how well friends know each other to win a luxury cruise. Join us as we bring the excitement every weekend at 6 p.m. only on SABC 1, Mzansi for sure.
What do you need when you cast your vote?
We need to have education.
We need a new model.
We need more justice.
We want to be employers.
We must clean up the ANC out of our system.
We are going to deal with corruption.
That's what we need to do.
For the answers, don't miss the all-new season of The Big Debate every Sunday at 7 p.m. on SABC News Channel 404 and SABC 2, starting 10th of March.
Welcome back. You are watching the Democracy Gauge. It's all about you on this show. So we're going to go to social media to find out exactly what people have been saying. On Facebook, here is one view from Rihomoditswe, who says, I do not consider myself taking care of my mother, who single-handedly raised me. Black tax. I will not move away from her until I've built her a huge house and given her everything she needs. Then I can move on with my life. A choice I made under no duress or undue influence. Jeez says, I don't see it as tax. My mother will never be taxed to me. Non-Klanta says, I never call it black tax. I love taking care of my family. It doesn't feel like a burden. And Ranzi says, it's not a burden. I'm where I am because I was once a black tax to someone. So that's the view on Facebook. Let's go to Twitter to see some of those tweets. Bridget says, yes, only if it was strategized. Most black people can't even maintain their living, but with as little as 10K tax destroys. Mandla says, we need to stop referring to taking care of your family as black tax. So those are some of the views that have been expressed on social media. Coming up, we're going to give you a chance to interact with the show directly. And now for the people's view. This allows you to interact with us directly on the show and share your views candidly. Noloyiso Mangaliso from East London sent us a WhatsApp video.
Hello guys, Kamala Noloyiso Mangaliso. Uluvo lwam malunga ne black tax ne. Lento lena ayisosinyanzeliso. But thina ezabantu abamnyama iba luxanduva lwethu uba mhlambe nguwe umuntu osebenzayo uye benoxanduva lokunakekela ifamily yakho, you understand, ngoba xa benganakekelwa nguwe wena mntu walapha endlini osebenzayo bazokunakekelwa ngubani, uyabo. And kuba nzima, sometimes kuba nzima kakhulu ngoba uthi uzama unceda kwelinye icala ise ibe ngathi mhlambe ngowena uthandwayo kakhulu. Akululanga kakhulu as ilentuza abantu abanakekela amakhaya wabo and abantu ekufuneka like benze izinto for amakhaya abakululanga ngoba enye into kuye kufuneke uhoye wena isiqu sakho. Sometimes uye ungakwazi ukuzihoya wena uzenzele izinto, usacrifice, you understand, your own happiness ukuplease abantu bakowenu. And lonto leyo akufunekanga egqibeleni uzisole ngalonto leyo, you understand. Kufuneka uzidle futhi ukuthi uyakwazi ukunceda abantu bakowenu.
I think Winnie Kunia would have been very proud of that WhatsApp video because it echoes what she was saying. It can be a sacrifice, but honest conversations must be had about how all of this will unfold. Now, if you want to be part of the People's View in our next show, simply send us an email to dg25@sabc.co.za. Now, at the end of the show, I will throw forward to tomorrow's topic. Now, when we come back from this quick break, we will profile someone you may have seen on the news. It's none other than Chief Khoisan Ese, who has led 6 Khoisan to camp at the Union buildings since last year. He's always said his voice hasn't been heard. No more. Stay tuned.
In a UN report, scientists say climate change is getting worse.
1/3 of our food sources for the population come out of the ocean.
We spoke to people who have been directly affected.
We have lost a lot of cattle. Gemsbokvlakte, Tosca gebied and Jakkalskop. Everywhere you will see there's animals dying.
I've lost 2 of my cattle this January.
Africa's demand for clean drinking water is rising.
Drinking water is a top priority.
The next day when the water comes back, it's dirty.
I have implemented a level 5 water restriction, effective immediately.
Environmentalists seek solutions to preserve the planet.
This is Cape Kirpa, which is also one of the endemic species that is only found within the Western Cape, so it occurs nowhere else in the world except in our water systems.
What do you need when you cast your vote?
We need to have education.
We need a new model.
We need more justice.
We want to be employers.
We must clean up the ANC out of our system.
We are going to deal with corruption.
That's what we need to do.
For the answers, don't miss the all-new season of The Big Debate every Sunday at 7 p.m. on SABC News Channel 404 and SABC 2, starting 10th of March.
The Kalahari Transportier Park is a large wildlife preserve and conservation area in southern Africa. Kalahari means place of thirst. The total area is 38,000 square kilometers. Approximately 3/4 of the park lie in Botswana and 1/4 in South Africa. South Africa embraced the concept of transportiers linking ecological reserves across national borders. On the 12th of May 2000, President Festus Mogae of Botswana and Thabo Mbeki of South Africa formally launched South Africa's first peace park. It has 200 species of birds, including vultures, mammalians such as black Kalahari lions, and large herds of herbivores, namely elands, springboks, blue wildebeest, and more.
Right, now we've been telling you throughout the Democracy Gauge, we've gone through the length of the country to get stories of ordinary South Africans. You can check it out on our website. And today we're in the capital, picking up on the story of Chief Khoisan, who's been camped with his people outside the union buildings, wanting to be heard.
I am Chief Khoisan SA. We want government to recognize us as the first nation of South Africa. The second demand is the language on the coat of arms. We want that language to be official language of this country. The third one is the land claims of 1913 to be scrapped because it withholds us from making any claims. And the fourth one is we want the colored identity to be scrapped. Call us Khoi Khoi, call us Nama, Korana, but do not call us colored. When 1994 appeared, everybody was happy because the government declared that this will be a better life for all. So when we all made our mark, we were standing for long queues from the morning even up until the late evening.
What do you need when you cast your vote?
We need to have education.
We need a new model.
We need more justice.
We want to be employers.
We must clean up the ANC out of our system.
We are going to deal with corruption.
That's what we need to do.
For the answers, don't miss the all-new season of The Big Debate every Sunday at 7 p.m. on SABC News Channel 404 and SABC 2, starting 10th of March.
In a UN report, scientists say climate change is getting worse.
1/3 of our food sources for the population come out of the ocean.
We spoke to people who have been directly affected.
We have lost a lot of cattle. Gemsbok vlakte, Tosca gebied and Jakkalskop. Everywhere you will see there's animals dying.
I've lost 2 of my cattle this January.
Africa's demand for clean drinking water is rising.
Drinking water is a top priority.
The next day when the water comes back, it's dirty.
I have implemented a level 5 water restriction, effective immediately.
Environmentalists seek solution to preserve the planet.
This is Cape Kirpa, which is also one of the endemic species that is only found within the Western Cape, so it occurs nowhere else in the world except in our water systems.
Witness the exhilarating drama between the Morokas and the Mabasos in Generations the Legacy. Weekdays at 8 p.m. on SABC 1. Mzansi for sure.
We've heard it many times from female entrepreneurs that they aren't taken seriously, and Future Females is a worldwide network of women.
So we're creating a platform where these women come and they collaborate and they meet each other.
Have the Civil Aviation Authority announced when they'll be making some announcement with regard to findings?
The Chief Executive Officer of Ethiopian Airlines, he said they do not even know the magnitude of the situation.
Bring us up to speed with regard to the latest developments.
We now know there was a football official, there was a journalist, there were university professors.
Koko said his hands are clean and his detractors have ulterior motives.
South Africans have been solely done that Machela Koko had conflict of interest.
Our election website here on SABC is now live.
What do you need when you cast your vote?
We need to have education.
We need a new model.
We need more justice.
We want to be employers.
We must clean up the ANC out of our system.
We are going to deal with corruption.
That's what we need to do.
For the answers, don't miss the all-new season of The Big Debate every Sunday at 7 p.m. on SABC News Channel 404 and SABC 2, starting 10th of March.
I've got the power! Well, not quite. It happens to the best of us. We do apologize for the interruption in transmission. We simply lost power. So I'm afraid we can't continue much of that conversation, but all our packages are online. You can get them at sabcnews.com/elections, and you'll get the story of the Chief Khoisan essay there. Now, tomorrow we're asking the question, Are adverts, is advertisement in South Africa, are they inclusive? That's our poll question. That is now open. You can vote, and we'll have that discussion tomorrow. But for tonight, that's where we're going to have to leave it. Thank you for watching. Until tomorrow, Ubsuku Benzolo. Good night.